What's up, tribe? How you guys doing? Hey. Oh, child. This has been a crazy day, child. There's all kinds of stuff going on. I just want to say hi to the people, everybody that is here. I guess my notifications didn't go out. I'm sorry. But that's okay. It's so much stuff going on, child. Probably people just everywhere. People, Armand is live. Thais is live. Tasha K, like it's people just everywhere, child. But we are here. We're gonna have a nice, calm live. We're gonna talk about secrets of Miss America. Um, we do have a special guest joining us today. Harold will be joining us today. If you guys have looked at my other two videos covering the first and second episode, y'all know that Harold is a connoisseur. He is I would say, a expert in the field of pageants and of Miss America specifically. And so I told him that I wanted him to come on and join us. And when he told me about this episode, I said, "Oh, I would love for you to join us for this particular episode." And so he agreed to come on. He'll be on in a few minutes. He didn't get off work until later, so he had to come home and jump in the shower and all that good stuff. So I told him, just come on in when you're ready, and he can jump in where he jumps in. We will be back a little bit later on tonight at about 10 o'clock ish, and we're gonna have our own Whitehead Wednesday, child. We're gonna be talking about Whitehead. So if you don't want to hear about Whitehead, I understand. We kind of ain't talked about him in a while, but we're gonna clown a little bit tonight, child. We got some things to talk about tonight. El Michelle, I have been watching the new season of Secrets of Playboy, but yeah, no, I'm not. I don't dislike it. And I actually kind of, I almost wish this is where they had started. So I'm gonna give you about 5 minutes of that, and then we'll get into the secrets of Miss America. So if you're watching this on a replay, I'll give me a few minutes. We're gonna talk about Playboy for a second, and it actually gonna blend in with this episode of the secrets of Miss America, because I might say something a little bit later on that's gonna make y'all mad, but I know I love y'all and y'all love me. Both of those shows come on A&E. I almost wish that this season had been last season. And the reason why I say that is because last season was so salacious with us learning about a lot of the assaults that took place allegedly, and behavior with underage girls. I'm trying to be very careful on how I say these things. The topics that they're discussing in this season are good topics, but they're so vanilla, I guess, compared to what we talked about before. So I've been watching it, but the episodes really aren't giving me a whole lot. I guess because last season was so good. And that doesn't mean that every episode they got to talk about the stuff they talked about last season. But I mean, you guys are talking about a reality show. You're talking about last week when they talked about the 7 girlfriends and the 2 girlfriends who were like, I was cool with it. Like, I was okay with being, part of the harem. I didn't have a problem with it. I almost wish that it would have been flipped. You know what I'm saying? El Michelle. It's still good information. I mean, Monday night's episode, it was interesting. Yes, please get your Avon. I actually got an Avon box yesterday. I told you guys to get that Skin So Soft bundle. That's what I ordered. That Skin So Soft bundle. You get the 2 big bottles of Skin So Soft and then the 2 gels for $18.99. Child, you can't beat that. Okay. So last night's episode of it's free on the app. Oh, good to know. So it's on the A&E channel, and El Michelle said it's free on the app. So you don't have to get another subscription. You don't have to stream nothing. It's free on the app. So that is good to know. Y'all know with these glasses. Okay. So last night's episode of The Secrets of Miss America was episode 3. It dealt with rule number 7. Now, what rule number 7 stated, and I'm paraphrasing because I didn't write it word for word, but what it's paraphrasing is rule number 7 says that, sorry, y'all, my thing. Won't go on right. Anyway, you can't find the bundle. Oh, I wonder if the sale is off because I just ordered it Sunday, I think. Quintessential, if you remind me at the end, I'll go look for it. I'll go on the website and look for it. Maybe it was only available for reps. But if it was, I'll order it for you and send it to you because you know you are a um loyal repeat customer. So if it was only for reps only, I'll order it for you and send it to you. Um, but with that being said, rule number 7 stated that no contestant, well, every winner, excuse me, every winner of Miss America has to be of the white race. That is, that's almost word for word, but again, I'm not reading it, but that's almost word for word. No winner can be from any other race except for the white race. Now, let me go to my notes. So then this episode really dealt with the race issue within the Miss America pageant system, right? So rule number 7 was enacted in 1948. It was enacted in 1948. A woman by the name of Lenore Slaughter was the director of the Miss America pageant, and that she put that rule in. She was a Southern white woman, and she had been the director of Miss America since the 1930s. So she put that in 1948. Did I say 84? I meant 48. If I said 84, I was probably thinking about Vanessa Williams. No, the rule was put in place in 1948. If I said 84, that was a faux pas. That was a slip of the tongue. It was 1948. If I said 84, I was just thinking about Vanessa Williams. We'll get to her later, but she won in 1984. So maybe that's where my mind was. She said that her reasoning was, now I did write this down, so it is impossible to judge the Negro race in comparison to the white race. Her reasoning for saying that no one other than a white woman can win is because she said that there's no way that you can compare the Negro race to the white race in terms of beauty. Now, they said that the rule, here's Harold, they said that the rule was phased out by the 1950s. But yeah. Harold, I'm going to bring you up now.
Hello.
Hey, Harold, how you doing, my love?
Hey, how's it going?
I'm good, and we just started, so you're fine. We talked a little bit about Playboy for a few minutes, so you didn't really miss anything. I was talking about that rule number 7 was enacted in 1948. I told him what rule number 7 was. That Lenore Slaughter, who was the director, put it in place, and she said that the reason why is because it is impossible to judge the Negro race in comparison to the white race as it relates to beauty.
Oh
So
yeah.
so far, so good.
Yeah, they dive deep into this episode, so I'm ready for this.
Yes, honey. They said it was phased out in the 1950s, but of course, we know that it still took until 1984 um, before there was a Black Miss America. But even before that, we have some other things. So they, of course, they talked about the civil rights movement of the 1960s and how, even though there was a lot of social change going on, there still was not a lot of change within like it wasn't reflective in the pageant system. The judges were white, all the contestants were white, like you did not see it reflective in the Miss America pageant. So
Mm-hmm.
in response to that, in 1968, they created Miss Black America. And Miss Black America, the pageant started at midnight. It started immediately, or at 11 o'clock or midnight, immediately at the conclusion of Miss America. It was only a couple of blocks away. Um, The bishop is live. Okay, hold on. Um, hold on. Lord.
And ain't that a miss? Because after they crowned the white woman at Miss America, that's when the reporters left that pageant to go to go cover the black lady.
Lord Jesus, this was one of the roughest days.
Okay, sorry. I gotta put that over there so I can screen record this child. So, say that again, Harold. I apologize. Say that again.
Can you hear me clear?
I can hear you. I was trying to do two things at one time. My apologies.
Okay, I said it was a mess because the reporters left the white pageant in at the Miss America pageant to go cover the black women at the black pageant at midnight when everybody's going to bed.
And that's what she said. She said that well, that's what they said. They said the press left. And like they stayed long enough to see her get crowned, but then they immediately left because it was right there in Atlantic City, and they literally left and went down the street to the Miss Black America pageant. Um, and they said that Miss America was pissed.
Yeah, because they didn't want those reporters to cover that black pageant because it was focused off of the new Miss America, which had just been crowned early that night. And it was like 3 in the morning before they crowned the Miss Black America.
Uh-huh. Yeah, they was mad about that. So the next year, in response to the Miss Black America pageant, in 1969, they did add two black men to the board, and then they added one black judge who was a woman. And then in 1970 was the first time there was a black female state winner. Her name was Cheryl Brown, and that was in 1970. She was the first state winner.
Yeah, they did that so they want to appear racist to add those black they added two black men to the board. You said so. Yeah,
Yeah, they said they had
that
two
was so they
black men
want to
to the
appear
board
racist.
and one black judge. She was a woman. So, do you know how long the Miss Black America pageant lasted? Was it only that 1 year, or did they do it a couple of years?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it lasts until consistently. I think it lasts into the '90s, and then
Oh
like they may
wow!
have
Okay.
and then like they may have had like gone like 2 or 3 years without having one. Then they would have another one. Then they would go like 2 or 3 more years without having one. But yeah, it was a
Okay.
pretty consistent thing. It was a pretty consistent thing up until the '90s.
Okay. All right. That's interesting because I never heard of it. I'd never heard of it. Now you know
And I think they even may have had a TV contract in the '80s. I'm not sure. Um, I can't
oh,
say for sure, but I think it was on TV at one point.
now that would be interesting. I didn't know anything. Now you know they're doing that 5-part docu series on Essence later on in August. I wonder if Essence covered it. I'm pretty certain Essence covered
I'm pretty
Miss
sure they
Black
did.
America. I wonder if they're going to talk
Essence,
about it in that docu series about Essence.
Essence and Ebony probably covered it.
I'm sure Ebony covered it because Ebony would post, and they still, I mean, up until they stopped doing a print version, they always posted the HBCU queens. So I'm sure they
Uh huh.
covered it. Yeah, I'm sure they covered it. Okay, all right. So what a lot of people, and this is a part where you definitely can give me some insight. If I'm saying it wrong, clear it up. A lot of people
Okay.
don't understand that with Miss America, there's a state machine, right? There's a state. Yeah, Jet definitely covered it. There's a state machine, and oh, wait a minute, hold on. So they still doing it. Gabrielle Wilson is the current Miss Black America, so it is still going on.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah. I I know for sure it was going on consistently in the '90s, but yeah, it still exists today. I just didn't know how often.
I need to get some more information on that. I'm gonna have to look that up. Look at y'all Googling. Yes, honey. I need to go look it up. We need to get some more information. Maybe we can take a field trip to the next year's pageant, honey. That would be fun. I bet you
Yeah,
they have
that
a
would be
good
dope.
time. I bet you they have a good time. I don't even do pageants, but baby, I could do that. I bet you they have a good
The
time.
black one.
Yes. Oh, wait a minute. KK says, I have a friend who is a Miss Black director in my hometown. Oh, KK said she would do an interview. I would love to have her on. I would love to talk to her because I never knew anything about it. I never knew anything about Miss Black America, and I daggone sure didn't know what's still going on because they really didn't get into that in the episode. They didn't talk about whether it's still going on. They just mentioned it and they kept on going. Well, they might have said it and I missed it, but I didn't hear them say. I would love to talk to your friend, KK, if she'd be interested in doing an interview. We could just learn more about the history of it and where it is and all that good stuff. I would love to talk to her. Oh my goodness, that is great. But look at us learning
Oh, and
some
good
stuff
evening to
today.
everybody in the chat. I wasn't looking at the chat. Good evening. I see
They
someone
were
posting
saying
it.
hi to you. so there's a state system, right? And of course, we talked about this a little bit before. They get into it in this episode, but on the state level, you have to win certain pageants to even be able to compete on the state level. And then, of course, the states are who end up going to Miss America. And you don't get to
Yeah.
see Black representation on the Miss America stage because a lot of women, are stopped on the local level. And so
Yeah.
they were talking about how a lot of the local judges and local pageant directors were very racist and were very staunch in, a Black woman ain't gonna never win on my watch. I'm never letting a Black woman win. Those are the kind of
Oh
comments
yeah.
that were made. Yeah, those were the
Yeah.
kind of comments
I've
that
heard
were
the stories. I've heard plenty of stories.
made. Um, One of the former Miss America said that, but they said this later on in the episode, how the Black contestants were told that they should contour their noses when they do their makeup in a way that makes it look less, less African, and how they should wear certain types of dresses that won't show off their hips and their curves, um, which of course I'm sure, because the reality is, and they talk about this in this episode a lot, is Miss America is based on the European standard of beauty.
Mhm.
And
In the I think it was Erica Dunlap that mentioned it in the 90s and early 2000s when she competed. Black women that were competing during that time, they wanted them to conform to the quote unquote white standard of beauty. They had to wear the extensions and you just said that contour their nose and all that kind of stuff. So yeah,
mm-hmm.
they couldn't, like, if they were to compete with their natural hair and like things like that, they would have never, you can forget about it if you go up there with your natural hair and all those kind of things. So
Oh, we know they ain't letting them
yeah.
compete with their natural hair, child. That ain't even a. Oh my goodness, they ain't. Oh, that's not even a beginning of a possibility. To let them compete with their natural hair. Hell, it's people still get threatening to get fired over their natural hair. So we know they didn't want them on
Right.
stage. And we're gonna get to a little bit more about the hair in a minute. We're gonna get there in a minute. So
Okay.
we know that our first Black winner was in 1984 with Vanessa Williams. But before we get back there, I mean, not before we get there, but and of course, even when Vanessa Williams won, she was an acceptable Black woman,
Right.
right? Light skin, green eyes, she was that acceptable standard of Black beauty. And that's no dig
She was
on
palatable
Vanessa
for white
Williams.
people.
Right, exactly. And that's no dig on Vanessa Williams. Let's be clear. That's no dig on her. But that just is what it is.
Hmm.
And it is what it is. We meet Miss a former Miss Louisiana, Anita Whitaker. She won, she was Miss Louisiana in 1984.
I
And
love Nita Whitaker.
I
she
yeah,
was she was keeping it real the whole time. I love it.
yes, yeah, she was good. And she talked about how there had never been a Black Miss Louisiana. And she was like, I was like, she said, even when I competed, I was by myself. And I was like, hey girl, like we're all the Black girls, where all my girls at. And she talked about how she competed 4 years in a row. And she always won the talent competition. She always did well, but she, obviously never won, which of course goes back to that local system.
Hmm. I think she said it took what she said 13 or 23 times to win a local before she even got to Miss Louisiana.
Yeah. Yeah. And she was definitely, I mean, she's a little chocolate girl, beautiful, beautiful, and she finally won Miss Louisiana in 1984. And she said that Vanessa Williams was there to give her crown. And it was such a moment, after how hard she worked and how hard, she said that she did it for the scholarship money, right? And
Yep.
she just kept going and kept going and kept going. And the moment for her to be crowned Miss Louisiana by Vanessa Williams was just a moment. And she said, of course, a couple of weeks later is when the scandal broke.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for those who don't know, we all know the scandal, but let's just go on down that road. Vanessa Williams had taken some pictures in college. I think it was she was like 19. The photographer told her they would only be used as silhouettes. She said she never signed a release. But of course, once she won Miss America, that photographer was like, "Oh, wait a minute, hold up," and he ended up selling those pictures to Penthouse, and Penthouse published the pictures. Now, I to this day have never seen the picture. I mean, I've seen the edited pictures, right, the cropped out pictures, but I've never seen the actual pictures.
Yeah.
I don't want to see them. But here's where y'all are gonna disagree with me.
Let's hear it.
A lot of the black queens felt like if Vanessa Williams had been white, that the pageant would have fought harder for her, and I disagree. I disagree, and the reason why I say I disagree is you're talking about a pageant that even up until the 2000s didn't want their queens to even be seen in public with a boyfriend. And these were the white
Mm-hmm.
queens that would be threatened if they found out that they had a boy in their room, right? Grown ass women.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't think I don't think they would have fought harder if it would have been a white woman. I think that it would have been the same pressure from the same sponsors, because let's be clear, it was the sponsors that put the pressure on. And I think it would have been the same pressure from the same sponsors, because it is the image of what Miss America is. I feel
Mm-hmm.
like I had literally just watched The Secrets of Playboy right before this, where a woman got fired from her teaching job because she had posed for Playboy 3 years before she even became a teacher. And we talking about a good old white woman down in Texas. So honestly, and I know people may not agree with me, and I'm okay with that. But I don't think it would have been different if she had been a white woman. I mean, do you?
I think that's a fair point, but on the other hand, I'm not gonna lie, I did feel the same way as the Black
That's
Miss
okay.
America, simply because when they say that had it been a white woman, I feel like if it were a white winner that the pageant officials really loved, I do think that they would have fought to, get rid of that scandal quicker than they did Vanessa, because it has been said in these circles that Vanessa isn't who the pageant wanted to win anyway. So that's probably why a lot of the winners felt like they would have fought for the one they wanted harder than they did Vanessa.
Hmm. I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that there is racism all up and through the pageant. I mean, just again, it goes back to my first statement when I did the first review. I was never into the pageants because I never saw myself in them. I never felt like
Uh-huh.
their version of beauty is what I was, So
Uh-huh.
I'm never gonna say that there was no racism, because I 120% believe that there was racism, or that there is racism involved. Let's be clear. But I don't think that everything for me, and again, it's okay that everybody, people feel differently. I know, I respect that. Um, when I'm looking at 20 years later, the pageant still won't let women, have boyfriends, and Playboy posing in Playboy is still getting women fired. I don't know. I feel like America just, something that was said in the Playboy, the Secrets of Playboy last night, that I agree with. when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to sex, women can't win. You know, you have women who say, I'm going to own my body and I'm going to pose in Playboy because it's what I want to do with my body and I have every right to do that. Um, um, and then you have the flip, and they get, of course, they get ridiculed for that. Oh, you're posing in Playboy. You must be a slut. You must be this. You must be that. And then you have the flip side where you had the women who protested against women, against Playboy coming on college campuses, and they were ridiculed. Oh, you're just a stick in the mud. Oh, you're this, you're that. So it's like when it comes to sex, women can't win because no matter what side we're on, people have an issue with it. And so that's why I say, like, when I look at a pageant, I just feel that way. Vintage says, I don't think the pictures would have come out until after her reign was over if she was white. That's an interesting point of view.
Yeah, that's a valid point.
Let me say this, and again, I don't want to we're gonna move on because there's other stuff, but I'm only gonna say this. Those pictures were shopped around to other outlets, and nobody else would buy the pictures except for Penthouse. The only way those pictures would not have appeared in Penthouse, if you know anything about what was the guy's name that ran Penthouse, the one that he ended up getting shot and paralyzed, Larry.
I forgot his name, but I
What's
know
his name?
he's
Larry.
deceased now.
Yeah, he's deceased now. But the only thing that would have stopped those pictures from being published is if the pageant would have paid him more than what he was paying. You know what I'm saying? If it would have been, it was a money thing. Now, would the pageant have
Yeah,
paid?
and I don't even think they knew that. Well, they didn't know the pictures were coming out. So
No, the lawyer said he got a phone call. Larry Flint, thank you. The lawyer, now he could be telling, he could be lying, but according to the story he told, he didn't get a phone call until the pictures literally were in print. And if there was a movie back in the day called The People versus Larry Flint. It was starring what's my boy's name? Woody Harrelson. It was starring Woody Harrelson, and it was his story. And if you go back and watch that movie, I watched that movie years ago, so I can't remember the specifics. But when it come to Larry Flint, and it was all about the money. But if I remember correctly, they did go to Playboy first, and Hugh Hefner wouldn't do it.
What's the movie about this?
Hugh Hefner wouldn't publish them.
What's the movie about this?
It was just about in general. Larry Flint fought. You know, he was sued many times, and he fought the U.S. government about about the magazine, about being able to do what he did with Penthouse, and that's why I said he was all about the bottom line and all about the money, and he paid good money for those pictures because again, the guy who had those pictures, he went to Playboy first, and Playboy wouldn't publish them. Playboy said we're not doing that. For as many other things that have come out about Hugh Hefner, Hugh Hefner was very much on the forefront of certain things, and he wouldn't publish those pictures. So again, I'm not saying that y'all are wrong. But I still feel like those pictures would have came out. That's my opinion.
Well, I guess I have that viewpoint because I know how those people are. So that's why I have the viewpoint that I have, and I'm sure that's why the Miss Americas have the Black Miss Americas feel the way they do. Because and, I'm not invalidating what you're saying at all, but that those pageant people are like they can get real nasty, and when someone wins that they don't necessarily want per se, or they feel like they didn't want representing the brand. It's some crazy things going on behind the scenes.
And I do want to say that I do not want to negate the queens who were in that system who know the things that I will never know. So I definitely don't want to negate their opinion because they do have information that I'm not privy to, obviously.
And your point is very valid as well. That's why I say it's all things can be true at the same time.
Right. Yeah. So, but of course, we all know the story. Now, initially, Vanessa refused. She said, I'm not stepping down. She refused to
And see,
give
I
up the
never knew
crown.
that. I never knew that she initially like refused to step down because it was always told that she, immediately went up to, relinquish her crown or whatever and went to the press conference, but I didn't know that she refused at first.
I didn't know she refused either. I didn't know she refused either. See, we learning stuff, honey. We learning stuff.
Mhm.
Um, she refused to resign, and then basically she was threatened because what I heard that lawyer say, he said it in a real lawyery way, but he said, "Well, I just reminded her. Did she really want to drag this out? Did she really want to put the pageant through this? Mind you, she was the one who was having her life thrown torn apart. But now you saying I just reminded her. Did she really want to blah blah blah? So basically, she pretty much was
Who
threatened
said that?
into the
Who said
lawyer.
that?
The lawyer.
Oh.
Yeah, when her lawyer called him and said, the lawyer for the pageant, her lawyer called him and said
Mhm.
Vanessa's not giving up her crown, and he said, "Well, I just want you to remind Vanessa, does she really want to go through this? Does she really want to put the pageant through this?" Basically, letting them know that they was about to drag her. Like either she give up the crown or it's about to get ugly, which is what he said in a
Mhm.
real nice way. But that's what he said.
I saw I don't know if it was a news clip or like a documentary piece or whatever on YouTube where the
Mhm.
then I think the then CEO, his name was Albert Marks, whatever. He was an older guy. I've never liked the way he held that magazine up at that press conference. He held that magazine up as if Vanessa Williams were as if she were a piece of trash. Like he's had that attitude towards her ever since whenever that happened or whatever. He forever had that attitude towards her because of the pictures being released. And I never liked that. Because if you look in the clip, you can see like if you look at the look on his face, he looked real disgusted when he held that magazine up. I was like that's why I said I feel like if it were someone else, they would have fought harder for it to go away. But because it was someone they didn't initially want, that was that was what she got, the short end of the stick. Like they treated her as if she was trash for something somebody else did to her.
I I don't know. I just would
And
be interested.
I could be off base, but that was my assessment of
No, 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 no. It's not you. I just no, no, no. It's not you at all. Your opinion is your opinion, boo. I was trying to think of how I wanted to say this. I would be very interested in finding out how many other queens had this type of skeleton in their closet. I would be interested to know. I would be really, really interested to know. She can't be the
it.
only
You know
woman that
what?
made that decision.
Probably more than the general public is aware of. They just fought to make sure it didn't get out.
Yeah,
They made sure it was air sealed tight,
yeah, yeah.
not to get out.
Um, yeah. Because if I remember, excuse me, y'all, if I remember correctly, Vanessa Williams hadn't even told her mom about those pictures. Like her mom, her family didn't even know um,
No, I don't think
until
she did.
until the scandal.
She didn't
Yeah. So
because she was under the impression that they weren't going to be released. They were being used for
right, they were gonna
the
be used
Larry
as a
Flint guy
silhouette.
said case study or whatever.
Right. Exactly. Exactly. Now I understand why she didn't, but I really wish she had participated. I would love. I mean, she did. She has talked about it in the past, but I think that was so long ago. I wish they had
Hmm.
maybe spliced in. I mean, they did. They did splice in some of her old interviews, but they didn't splice in her talking
Anything
about that.
recent?
Yeah, and they didn't splice in her talking about that. Like um they spliced in her talking about how she still had support from a lot of of Black Hollywood, and a lot of people have reached out to give her support, but they didn't splice in where she ever talked about what happened. And I know she did Oprah, and I know she talked about it on Oprah. And maybe they couldn't get the release, whatever. Well, actually, no, because A&E is and OWN are owned by the same company. So, but I
I
remember,
think
I
she went
know,
in. I think the most recent thing. I think she went and talked to Jennifer Hudson. I think she went on the show and talked about it a little bit, but I don't think she went in depth about the scandal. She just talked about. I think she just talked about her road to Miss America, like Miss New York and all that kind of stuff. She didn't talk about the scandal. That was her
yeah.
most recent interview.
And I'm gonna say this in that clip when she said that a lot of Black Hollywood supported her. I'm gonna say this: the proof is in the pudding because again, I'm old enough to remember. I wasn't an adult, but I was old enough to know what was going on. I was maybe middle school, maybe I don't know, but I remember a few years after she gave up the crown, right? A few years after she
Mm-hmm.
gave up the crown, I remember I remember her song coming out. I remember the right stuff coming out, and that was her first single, the right stuff, and she blew up. And
Yep.
knowing what we know about the music industry and knowing what we know about how things work, if there weren't people in her corner, it would have never worked. She would have never been successful. If she didn't, now those people may not
No.
have come out publicly and said all of the things publicly, but it is clear that there was a machine behind her. It was clear that there were people who wanted to see her win because she dropped that single, The Right Stuff, and it was up from there. Like everything she dropped for like her next three albums. I mean, I don't know the numbers, but I remember the singles. I remember she had the Christmas album, and then she was acting, and like Vanessa Williams was probably one of the most successful Miss Americas in history, and
Oh, for
it is
sure. To
yeah.
this
Well,
day, to this day,
at
she
least
is the
successful in the
most
arts,
notable.
right? At least successful in the
Hmm.
arts, like the visual arts. I'm not gonna say because there are a lot of people who were accomplished in their field, but in the visual arts,
Uh huh.
um,
Yeah.
and that wouldn't have happened. That wouldn't have happened if people weren't behind her. It just wouldn't. I mean, knowing what I know now about the music industry and knowing what I understand now about how these things work, it just wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have happened. So she
Mm.
definitely had people. And who's to say maybe a deal was made. I mean, I'm not accusing her of anything nefarious. I'm just saying maybe some conversations were had. You know what I'm saying? Right, Bow Legged Lou produced it. Right, that's what I'm saying. People, and remember, her husband at the time was her manager, and he did really well. I mean, until he cheated on her, but that's another conversation. But he did really well, with steering her career.
Yeah.
You know, so anyway. With that being said, I'm sorry.
Oh
With
yeah,
that
El
being,
Michelle. I agree with El Michelle. I wish Kim Aiken had participated too because I'm pretty sure she could have went in depth like regarding things that went on at her state there in South Carolina. She yeah, they were held in like the directors in the South, they were held down there in the 80s. I've I've definitely heard those stories.
but what now?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, what'd you say?
I said I agree with El Michelle when she said that she wished Kim Aiken had participated because Kim Aiken is from South Carolina, and in the South, there those directors in the South back in the 80s and 90s, they were hell. I'm telling you, they
Well,
were
yeah,
hell. And
yeah, that's what they said. What's her name? I'm getting ready to get into her story in a second. What's her name? Hold on, I wrote her name down. Hold on now. Let me find it because I know I wrote it down so I wouldn't forget it. Uh, where I wrote that young lady's name? Oh, Caressa Campbell. She talked about the fact that I'm gonna get to that at the end, but she was on a task force. She was Miss Virginia, and she won Miss America too. But she was on a task
okay.
force, and she said that when they reached out to the anybody who had ever participated in the pageants to tell their story, the stories that they got back, but specifically the stories where they overheard, the judges on the state level. I never let a black woman win. I never let a black woman win. Hell, even
Mhm. Mhm.
not on my watch. even what's her name? Anita. And that was her name, Anita?
Yeah, Whitaker.
Yeah, Anita Whitaker. Even when she said when she won Miss Louisiana. And she now this was in 1984. She won Miss
She
Louisiana,
said,
and she was doing no when she was the runner up or something, because she wasn't Miss Louisiana yet. She was a runner up, but she was on the float. They were doing like the little. She said because a lot of these pageants took place in like they were held by civic associations. They were held in little hole in the wall, little towns, especially in the South. And she said they were on one of those little
mm-hmm.
float, like the little car riding through the little parade. And this lady, she said this white lady came out and said, well, look at that nigga. Now, this is in 1984,
Right,
1983. And
right.
that lady said that, Anita said she way back and said, your mother, like, you
My mouth dropped when she said that. When she said the lady said that when she when she passed on the phone, I probably would have said the same thing. Your mama,
know,
and
right.
kept on waiting.
Sometimes that's all you can say. Like, what? Hello, excuse me, your mama. Um, so after that, the very next year in 1985, of course, the pageant went right back to the blonde hair, blue eyed white woman. And this time the woman was a Mormon. And they said that
That
they
was a
probably
safe
felt
choice.
like that was
That
yeah,
was a
Miss
very
Utah.
safe choice.
Right. But they said that the judges probably felt like that was the safest damn choice. Like a Mormon ain't gonna have nothing in her background. A Mormon ain't gonna have no they probably thinking, baby, that's the safest
And
choice.
fun fact, the year after Vanessa won, I think there were 6 black women at Miss America that year, and
Yeah.
only one of them made the top 10, and she went on to finish as third runner up or something. But she was biracial. She wasn't she wasn't fully black.
Mm.
So that was telling in itself. Only out of those 6 women, only one made the top 10, and she was biracial.
That's it. El
So
Michelle says she's from South
they
Carolina. Oh, go ahead, babe. Go ahead.
oh, I was just gonna say they definitely were trying to veer away from the previous year.
Absolutely. They yeah, I mean, they was running away with a 10-foot pole, child. El Michelle says she's from South Carolina. The way her aunties cried when Kim Allen won, Aiken won, excuse me. I have cousins that experienced the South Carolina system. Yeah, again, I I never thought of these things until, I mean, again, of course, I don't doubt any of these experiences, but I just never thought of it. So it wasn't
Hmm.
until 1990 where we have our next black winner, who was Debbie Turner. And then we had a black winner in 91. We had a black winner in 92. Um, but of course, it was still black women who had to reflect the European standard of beauty. I mean, of course, they couldn't wear their hair natural. And hey, Mr. Willie Brown, happy birthday, Mr. Willie Brown. Everybody tell Mr. Willie Brown happy birthday, please.
Happy
Um,
birthday, Mr. Willie Brown. I have an uncle named Willie.
one of my parents' best friend name was Willie. Um, but yeah, and so then they started breaking down how the state level, like a lot of the racism took place on the state level. Um, so the way that the pageant is scored, the first part of the pageant is very specific about, you have your categories and you have your raw scores, right? But once they
Uh huh.
they whittle it down to the top five, basically the judges get to rank them and in their favor. So I mean, and what they want. So they're number one through number five. There's no numbers. It's basically just who you want to win, and that is where they say a
Hmm.
lot of the bias comes in, because if there are no numbers, there's nothing concrete to go on. Then
They call
basically
it the
it just
final
comes down
ranking.
to, right, it just comes down to popularity contest, and I can pick my number one for whatever reason I want to pick my number one.
Right. Never mind who performed the strongest, but it comes down to a matter of who you like. So
Yep. um so Carissa Campbell, they told her story. Carissa Campbell grew up in Virginia, Spotsylvania County, Virginia. Her mom said that growing up, now mind you, she won in like 2000. Oh, I didn't write her year down. But she won in the 2000s. So we're not talking about, again, we're not talking about 50 years
Oh,
ago. We're talking about,
2000. She won Miss Virginia in 2009.
okay, so she won Miss Virginia in 2009. She grew up in Spotsylvania County, Virginia in like the 80s and 90s, right? Probably more 90s than 80s. So again, we're not talking about 50 years ago, right? And when they moved to
Right. This was
Spotsylvania
this was
County,
14 years.
right, right.
This was
And when
14 years ago.
we moved to Spotsylvania, when they moved to Spotsylvania County, they said that she was like 7 black girls in her school. I mean, black kids in her school or something like that. But let me say this too, as somebody who grew up here in the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, Virginia has always been that state. Um, I remember as kids, we didn't cross the bridge into Virginia unless we had a really good reason. Like it just wasn't something we did. We didn't hang out in Virginia, right? It wasn't until they built Pentagon City Mall and the subway went to well, I could say when they built it, when the subway went to Pentagon City Mall, when we could catch the subway out there, and they had a movie theater where we kind of would hang out. But Virginia just wasn't a place you went to hang out. I mean, it was just the systemic racism was just clear. Um, um, and so she started, competing in the pageants, and she made it into the top 5. Actually, she was second runner up I think 4 times. I mean, 3 times running for Miss
She
Virginia.
Her mom said she was in the top 5 every single year she competed.
Every single year she competed, and she competed
She
4 years in a row for Miss Virginia. And I know she was second runner up at least once, because that the one year when they said that she should have won, and she was going to quit. She was absolutely going to quit. And they showed the footage. You could
Oh
see the
yeah.
looks on. You could see the looks on other people, not even her face, but everybody was shocked that she did not win that year. She won the interview. She won the
And
talent portion. You know, everybody. You could see the looks on. I mean, everybody's face. The other contestants were even like, "What?" Like you could see the
and
confusion.
you know what? That was I think that was the year before she won. And the girl that beat her that actually went on to Miss America the year before, I don't think she didn't crack the top anything at Miss America. And
Yeah,
that was the year that everyone thought Caressa was gonna win. And the girl that beat her didn't do anything.
yeah, and that's what her mom said. And so she said she was really going to quit. Carissa said she was done. She was over it. Um, and she said, but at the coronation ball, a little black girl walked up to her and said, "If you can't win, I don't stand a chance." And she said that is what convinced her to keep trying. And she said, even if I never won, I was going to
Now see,
keep trying.
even the babies thought she should have won.
Right, right. And she said, even if I never won, I um I wasn't going to quit. I wasn't going to let her see me quit. Right. And so
Mm.
her mother even said she said her mother told her, "Look, girl, I'm in a position where I can set up residency in Washington D.C. if you want to go over there and compete in D.C." Because people had been telling her that she needed to try to compete in Maryland or D.C. because it was a lot easier for a black girl in Maryland or in D.C. And she told her mother, I'm not. If I'm
Yeah,
gonna lose, I'm gonna lose."
and that
She said,
and
"I'm
that
not gonna
was
let them run
that
me
was
out
a
of my own
recurrent
state."
yeah, that was a recurring thing with like a lot of black contestants. Like if they, especially in the South, again, I have to make that point. Especially in the South, like if they competed in a state that was kind of hesitant on crowning a black woman, a lot of them would move to states that were more inclusive and compete there and actually win.
Yeah. And that's what she said. She said, "I'm not gonna let them run me out of my own state. Like if I'm gonna lose, I'm just gonna lose, but I'm not gonna go somewhere else to lose. I'm not gonna do that." Um,
Hmm.
so she went back the next year and she won. She won um Miss Virginia, and then she went on to Miss America, and she won Miss America that year. Um, But her reign, now some of y'all not gonna agree with me on this one too. So I'm gonna get ready. I love y'all. I'm gonna get ready in advance. Her reign was difficult because she said that they were ready for a Miss America winner, but they weren't ready for the upkeep of what it took to keep up with a Black Miss America winner. And as it related specifically to her hair, she said, it I couldn't just go down the street to the hair cuttery and get my hair done. I it takes longer for me to get my hair done. It's a lot more to it. I had to get a perm. I had to have extensions. It takes hours. And the schedule for Miss America is unrelenting, which all of them have talked about that. And she literally would miss appearances because she was getting her hair done. And the pageant wasn't hearing it. The pageant was not feeling that. And they basically told her, look, girl, this is the way we've done it. This is the way we've always done it. And you either need to figure out a way to get it done or, oh well. But we're not going to allow you to keep missing appearances for you to get your hair done. Now, before I give my point of view, I'm gonna let you talk. Willie. I'm thinking about Mr. Willie Brown birthday. Harold, how you feel about that?
I mean, I don't want to be that guy, but I mean, I can't like I agree with her. Like, I don't know, like I said, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the difficult one. But the way I feel is, I don't know. Like, I guess I really don't feel a way about what was said either way because, like I said, I don't want to be the difficult one and say that, oh, they should have accommodated her and let her go get her hair done for whatever appearance so she would look presentable because she's representing the brand, blah blah blah. But on the other hand, I do see the opposing view as far as, this is how it's always been. You need to do what you need to do and in order to get the job done. So like I said, I don't feel strongly about it either way.
Got you.
But
She did end up, she said she ended up having to cut her hair. And she basically was wearing cheap wigs, which made her feel very unpretty. And they showed pictures, and baby, she was wearing some cheap wigs. She was wearing some cheap wigs. Here's my 2 cents on it. And I know some of y'all ain't gonna like what I'm getting ready to say, but I love y'all anyway. It is absolutely a fact that it takes it's absolutely a fact that we have to do things more often for our hair to be done. Like white women go to the salon, they can go to the salon once every 6 months and they're good, right? We can't do that,
mm,
especially if you want our hair to look decent night after night after night, day after day after day. That is a fact. Full stop. Whether you wearing uh unless you are wearing braids or wearing a natural, like dreads or something, if you want me to have my hair out every day and you want it to be, on that level of presentable every day, that is a fact. Now that's just a fact, right? Full stop. Full stop. There's no but in that statement.
and see, that goes back to the point of, her needing to wear styles that she felt would have been where she wouldn't have had to get them styled every day, got her hairstyle every
Right.
day.
Right.
She,
But my pushback on her argument is number one, you weren't the first Black woman to win. So what did the other Black, like, did you reach out to your sisters? Did they give you some advice? Did they have some suggestions? You weren't the first one. You weren't the first one that had weave. You weren't the first one that had to wear like all of y'all had to maintain this European standard of beauty. So you weren't the first woman, Black woman, right? You weren't the
yeah,
first Black winner.
yeah.
And you
I was
had
just about to say
people who had
they
won
probably had to do
even
whatever
on
the
the
org
state
said.
level. Right. So that's number one. Number two, did you sit down with somebody? Somebody. Did you sit down with somebody and say, hey, is there any way that we can get a Black stylist as part of the rotation? Somebody that knows how to do my hair as part of the rotation, because there were probably styles that she could have gotten that would have lasted longer, or maybe wouldn't have had as much. Because I mean, granted, weaves and wigs have evolved since the early 2000s. Like this was 2010, 2009. I mean, wigs and weaves have evolved, but hell, they had sew-in weaves back then. I know because I had friends in college that had sew-in weaves, and y'all know I was in college a long, long time ago, and they were the first ones that I knew of that had a sew-in weave, but they had sew-in weaves back then. So
did she say if she requested it or not? Like a black
she
stylist?
she didn't. She just said that she told them that she couldn't, just because she said they were trying to send me down the street to the hair cuttery, and I tried to explain to them that I couldn't just go down the street to the hair cuttery. But my thing is, and again, I don't know. I didn't hear her say that they told her she couldn't do it or they kept it. I don't know, but I just feel like, here's the thing. In any job, missing work is not acceptable. Imagine going to your job and saying, yeah, I got to call out because I got to get my hair done. And you do that 3 or 4 times, right? That's equivalent
Yeah.
to what she did. The equivalent is she was missing appearances to get her hair done. Imagine you were on the other end of that. Do you know how diva that sounded to the people
Yeah.
in the pageant when they were, because they said they were getting complaints. Like her handlers on the road were calling back to the pageant complaining that she was missing appearances because she was getting her hair done. And all I'm saying is I know there wasn't a lot of time. Like all of the queens have said how packed their calendar was. But my question is, did they refuse to give you somebody on staff that could handle your hair when they did send you
And
when you
that
were
that could have been the
traveling
case.
around? Yeah, I mean, now granted, things are a lot different today. Like they have apps for those kinds of things. Like you literally can get on the app and you can be. I forgot what the app. There are a couple of apps that you can download where basically you can find a hair and makeup person anywhere in the world. Anywhere you go, you can go into the app and you can request, concierge service. Concierge. You know, professional makeup and hair. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I was like, okay, girl, I don't know if I can go with you on this one. And I'm not saying that it didn't happen, and I'm not saying it wasn't traumatic for her. I'm just wondering if there was. I'm just wondering if all avenues were exhausted. That's all I'm saying. Thank you,
Yeah, now
Corey.
that you
Thank you,
make
my
that
love.
point, now that you make that point, that's why I say I don't really feel strongly either way because I feel like it's valid points all around, just like it was earlier.
Yeah, and again, I'm sure what I will say is I'm sure they weren't very nice and I'm sure there wasn't a lot of understanding.
Yeah.
But in 2019, when did that white guy that had all the emails come out? When did he take over the pageant? I forget what year that was again.
Uh, I want to say it was 2010 or 2011.
So that was around her time, not her time. Like that was the year before. That was her. Okay, that was the year
Yeah,
after she
she
was queen.
he
Okay.
might have taken over the year she actually won,
Oh, okay. Well, we
and
know
he
he
was
wasn't trying to give her nothing, child. We know he wasn't trying to give her
right,
nothing.
right.
Yeah, that's again. I'm not saying that she did not experience things because I know she did. I ain't nobody got to tell me, but I just felt like I don't know. I heard it different. I just heard it a little different. Y'all know I try to be fair. I try to look at things from all angles. Again, ain't nobody. I'm not gonna sit here and say that woman didn't experience something. I ain't saying that. I ain't saying that. I ain't saying that. I'm just saying I feel like in that situation, but she is now on they had a task force a few years ago to examine racism within the pageant system. And what they found was that 90% of all of the judges on the local level were white men.
Now, see, that was interesting. I didn't know that.
No, I'm sorry, we're
That
white.
that that
We're white. I'm sorry, we're white.
that was very interesting.
Hey,
I didn't know
Ruben
that at all.
Nicole. She could have gotten a good glue in that wouldn't have taken that long, or a sew in with no leave out that would have lasted a couple of months at a time, or a lot of people learn how to do in between maintenance themselves. Listen, I'm just telling y'all, look, again, I'm not trying to beat up on this woman, but I agree with everything you just said, Diva Nicole. Like I said, I had friends in college, and I was in college long before she was Miss America, that had sew-ins. Hey, El Teddy. And a
What's
sew-in
going on, Teddy?
a good sew-in can last you about 2 months. I'm just telling you what I know, not what I heard. Okay. A good sew-in can last you about 1 to 2 months, depending on how fast your hair grow. And or you could have just invested in a couple of good wigs. I mean, yeah, them wigs that she was wearing were real tacky. I ain't gonna lie. But baby, you get you a couple of good. Listen, let me just
They were
See,
white women wigs.
y'all about to really
They
get
were white
mad at me
women
right now.
wigs.
Y'all about to really get mad at me right now. Here's what I know. I told y'all my ex-roommate in college was in the pageant system, child. The girl was a little special, but she was in the pageant system. And what I know is she spent a lot of money for pageants. Now she got donations. She
Oh yeah.
had GoFund. Well, back then it wasn't GoFundMe's, but she did donations and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's not cheap. It's not cheap. And again, I just have to say, girl, what were you doing? Like in all those years, you didn't come up with ways for you to do things to your hair to make it look nice, to make it look decent. Like you didn't know how to put a relaxer in your hair and blow dry that thing out and give you a cute little updo. Like I'm not judging her. I don't want it to come off like that. I'm not beating her up. I'm just saying I just think that y'all know how I feel about stuff. Sometimes I mean everything can't be everything. Again, I
Now see
believe.
again that goes back to all the black
Thank
women
you for the
having
super
to
chat, Diva
conform to
Nicole.
white women selling the beauty. She was probably relaxing her hair and wearing extensions and stuff.
Right. She probably was damaging her hair. Now let's be clear
Yeah.
that the baby got locked now. She said that's why she got her hair locked now. Okay. Her
Oh
hair's
yeah, she
locked.
did say that because she had to cut it off midway her reign because to cut all the
Yeah.
chemicals out.
Yeah. Hold on a second, Harold. Hold it down for me, Harold. Hold it down for a second.
Okay. Pageants are no joke. It goes beyond hair, makeup, and gown. Yeah, it costs a pretty penny. They call it uh the rich or the rich woman sport or something like that. You have to get sponsors and all those kind of things to compete in a pageant. I kept the sewing in when I was military. Yeah, correct. You can go on the A&E. I know it's on A&E. You can go on the A&E app and pull up all the episodes. They have like I think next week is the last episode. So if you go on the A&E app, it may even be on demand. But I know you can go on the A&E app or the A&E website, and they have like the first 3 episodes up there. And but I think this episode that came on Monday night that this is probably one of the
Tracy.
best episodes so far.
You just couldn't help yourself. You just couldn't help yourself, Tracy. I'm sorry.
No, I'm not involved. I've just been a fan for the past 20 or so years. I've been watching pageants since I was like 9 or 10 years old.
He is our pageant expert, child. He is our pageant expert. Um,
I,
Go ahead, Harold.
I'm from Alabama, El Michelle, Sweet Home,
Oh,
Alabama.
you are? Okay,
Yeah.
Alabama. Now they did that same survey 2 years later and found that in 2 years, only at that point, 87% of all of the judges on the local level were still white. So they really only lost 3%. So one thing they said that the pageant did was the pageant made sure there was at least one. They did some affirmative action, child. They made sure there was at least one black judge in every state pageant, for every state pageant.
Ain't
So
that a mirror?
now that still don't have nothing to do with the other pageants, but they said that was they just made a little baby step. Now, of
And
course,
I mean, even if it's 1 or 2 black people on the panel, if you have a panel of like 6, 7, 8, and the other panelists are white, that's really not gonna make a bit of a difference because like whoever has the majority votes, that's who's gonna win.
right, and this didn't even happen until the Gretchen Carlson era. This happened during
Yeah.
her era. So, yeah, I agree with you though, because it's still, if it comes down to the majority, I agree. I agree with you 100% that that's still a lot. That's still a lot. Um, I I feel like ultimately, you know, where we are today, like honestly, we need to, not we, because I don't care. They need to make the pageant relevant again for anybody to really care. Because I don't know if anybody cares anymore. And I hate to say it like that. I know people
Yeah.
who are really pageant people care. So I'm not saying they don't care. That's not what I mean. I mean,
To draw in the interest of the general public, they need to go back to
that's
their
what I
roots. To
mean.
be honest,
That's what I mean. That's what I mean.
because let's
Yeah.
be honest, like I said, I don't know if it was last week or the week before, where I said you're like trying to cater to an audience that doesn't care either way is not doing anything but harming the pageant itself. Because when you turn it into like a political debate or something like that, people are going to lose interest. That's not why people have historically watched pageants. Like they don't want to see a whole bunch of talking and nothing else. So if you want to remain relevant, sort of say, yeah, if you want to remain relevant, you need to go back to your core values and what made the pageant popular to begin with. Like there's a way to evolve with the times while still maintaining traditional values.
Right. Because like last week, I didn't agree with them getting rid of the swimsuit competition. I
I
felt
didn't
like
either. That in itself was a complete miss. When
yeah.
it
Now
happened, that was a
I
whole
felt
fallout.
like right, exactly. Now I feel like there are things that they can do to make it safer so that you don't have women eating baby food and all of that. Like I
Yeah,
feel like there's a way that they can make it, they can put rules in place to try to make it safer. But I didn't agree with them because again, that's what it is. It's a pageant.
that's why people want to watch.
It's
That's why
not
people want
supposed
to
to be
watch.
a
They want,
political statement, right? It's not supposed to
yeah,
be, a statement on where we are as a people. Like that's not what it is. It's kind of
right,
like trying to take reality TV and trying to make it a drama and add, political activism. One or two
or soap
episodes,
operas.
okay, maybe. But ain't nobody turning into Love and Hip Hop to see them protesting Black Lives Matter every episode. I mean, is
Right.
Black Lives Matter important? Yes. But do I want to see it on Love and Hip Hop? No.
No, absolutely not. That's not why people watch Love and Hip Hop, to see protests and marching in the street.
Right. And I agree with that too, little baby. I do think that we need to evolve. Now that's where I feel like they need to evolve. They need to evolve in what beauty is. What does beauty look like? What is that reflective of? Now I saw some clips where I guess the latest pageants that Black women are wearing their natural hair. They are wearing their coils and fro
Oh yeah, it's
afros and
very that is it's natural hair has become very popular in the Miss USA system.
okay.
That's where the natural hair is thriving.
Yeah. Now I do think we can
Like you
evolve
you e- you even see some contestants but with bald heads now. Like it's really evolving
Oh
from that.
wow. Okay. Because they
Hmm.
said there's only even been, I mean, they've been 6 Black winners and 3 Asian winners. I ain't even hear nothing about Latinos, and we have a Miss Puerto Rico every year to compete.
There there has never been to date. I don't think there has been a Latina Miss America ever,
Right. So we
and it's
definitely have to
and
evolve. And I think that that starts with more representation on the level of people who make the decisions, the judges and all of that. Absolutely.
yep,
I agree with that.
on the local level.
Oh yeah, Miss Universe. Oh yeah, Miss Universe be having some gorgeous, gorgeous. And it's funny because it'd be some gorgeous women
Yeah,
winning
yeah.
Miss
See
Universe.
Golden hit it. See Golden said the name. That's right. Zosie Beanie Tunzi is who won Miss Universe in 2019. I
Yeah.
think with Chesley Chris. She had like a fade. she had like a she had a fade haircut.
Hmm. Yeah. So Well, there is no race. Race is a social construct. I mean, I'm not going down that road, P. I love you, baby, but I ain't going down that road. You know what we talk. You know what we mean. You know what we mean. Race itself is a social construct. So when you talk about black, you talk about white. It's a social construct. But anyway, um, overall though, if you're not watching it, go ahead and watch it. It is on A&E. It is free on the app. Go ahead and download it. Go ahead and download it. Um, and go ahead and catch up with us.
Oh yeah.
So you said next week is
Someone
the last episode?
someone in the chat asked where you could watch it earlier, and I didn't know whether it was free or not. But yeah, it is. It is on the A&E app for
Yeah,
sure.
somebody I think El Michelle said earlier that it's free. I think the current Miss America / Miss Universe is Latina. She's also transgender. Really?
No, no, Miss You, no. Let me think. No, let's see the current. Let me see right now.
She was Miss
No,
Nevada.
there has no. Yeah, I was gonna say no, the current Miss Universe is Filipino. The current Miss Universe was Miss USA, and then she went on to win Miss Universe, but she's Filipino. She's of Filipino descent. There was a trans Miss Nevada that competed at Miss USA a couple years ago, but she didn't win.
Okay. Um. Okay. So she is the current Miss Universe, and she's transgender.
No, Miss Universe is not transgender.
But the current Miss America is transgender.
No,
Okay. Okay.
neither one of them are.
Okay.
Yeah, Tracy said it. Arbany Gabriel. That's the current Miss Universe. She's from USA, but she's not transgender.
Oh, okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, we got to clear that up, right?
Yeah, I was like, I don't want to
Got to
get
be clear.
into nothing.
You got to
Okay,
make
Miss
that clear.
Netherlands is trans. Okay, because I ain't trying to get into nothing and start nothing. Okay, no, Lexi said
Uh,
that she is from Nevada and she is trans. Okay, I don't know. I listen, y'all
yeah.
go to the Google machine. That's all I
Well,
can tell y'all.
y'all know really be don't care.
Um,
but
so Miss Netherlands, who is Miss Universe, is
yeah,
trans. Okay, got it.
the
Got it.
the the
Boom. All right.
Miss Netherlands for the upcoming Miss Universe is
Okay, I'm
trans.
glad we got that cleared up. Okay. Woo. Right, El Michelle. Don't get me down to the shade room, child. Lord, I ain't trying to go viral. I ain't gotta go viral, honey.
I ain't trying to go viral my first
Uh,
time up here.
okay. Miss Netherlands. Okay. Tracy put the link in the chat. Okay. Um, now I want to say this before we get off of here. This is what I do want to say. Earlier on, if those of you who came in late, you may have missed it. We talked about Miss Black USA. It was started in 1968 as a way to rival Miss USA. We found out earlier on that Miss Black USA does still exist. And I think it was Cake. No, it was somebody else. It wasn't KK. I think it was El Michelle. Said that she Googled it and found out that yes, the Miss Black USA pageant is taking place in about 2 weeks. And she said that her local winner was asking for donations. So this is what I'm going to say to my people. Anybody watching this on the replay, anybody watching this right now, we don't have as many people in here as we normally do, but that's okay. I would like to ask you as the tribe, and I'm going to do the same. I'm going to do the same. Google the Miss Black USA pageant in your state. Find out who your winner is and see if she has any type of donation link, fundraising link. GoFundMe. Again, pageants are expensive, and we want to be supportive of the Miss Black America pageant. I'm glad to see it is still in existence. 30, 40, 50 years later. Wait a minute, 60, 40, 50, 60. Shoot, 60 years later,
Mm-hmm.
1968. Yeah, I'm glad to see that it's still in existence. And I am going to do the same. I'm going to check DC, Maryland, and Virginia just in case they don't have whichever one has the winner. Um, and again, $5, $10, $20 donation for that young lady to go and compete. That's what I'm asking y'all to do. Now, y'all don't have to do it. I ain't begging y'all or making y'all do it. But I'm requesting, right? Because we learned something
They
new today. I
appreciate
know
any
I learned.
amount.
Yeah, I know I learned something new today. I didn't know nothing about it. When I watched The Secrets of Miss America, I just thought they only had it for a couple of years and it sort of phased out. I did not know. First of all, I never knew about it to begin with, and I certainly didn't know it was still going on. And I'm excited to find out about it. And so I definitely am going to find a winner and make a donation. And again, I ain't got a lot to give, but I can give them $20, $30, $10, $5. Okay, every little bit helps, child. Every little bit helps. Um, so and if nothing else, just look up who your winner is in your area. I think it might be interesting to see what's going on. Again, I say that all the time when I say we got to get back to supporting the BET awards and
Because if I'm not
and the and the,
mistaken, if I'm not
go ahead.
mistaken, I think every state is represented.
Oh, well, then everybody got somebody they can look up, honey. Okay, all right. Well, with that being said, I'm going to wrap this up. We'll be back at 10 o'clock to talk about the bishop. Tracy done got blocked out the bishop's chat. I done told y'all don't be
What?
dropping down in that man's chat. You know better, Tracy. You knew better. Now, what you dropped down in that, I'm gonna talk to you later and find out what you said to that man. Because you knew better. Tracy, he kind of got blocked.
And
The
Tracy, not the
man,
bishop gonna block you now.
right. The man done blocked her. She know better than to drop down in his chat talking. She was probably talking slick. Anyway, we'll be back at 10. Right, Tracy love to mess with that man. She sure does. But we'll be back at 10 o'clock, y'all, to just clown and talk about, because we ain't talked about the bishop in a while, child. So we're just going to talk coming. Because, I thought, well, we got some, we're going to talk about Belmonte, but I thought he was going to go live today for a Wellness Wednesday. He said that the DA on his case was in jail. What? The DA on his case. Sir, you have federal charges. What are you talking about? You have AUSAs on your case. Not you're gonna have to tell me. I have it recorded. I'm about to go listen to it now. I did a screen recording, child. I'm about to go listen to what these people now, child.
Oh, really?
All right.
Emma Stell made a good point in the chat.
What you saying? There's also a Miss Black America and a Miss Black USA. Yes.
There are two different ones.
Yes. All right, y'all. Let me get out of here so I can get myself together. I can go listen to what this man talked about. See if it's worth playing back. Okay. All right. Talk to y'all later. Thank you so much, Harold. I appreciate your time and your
This was
expertise.
fun. This
I
was so much fun.
appreciate it. Yes. Next week, it looks like next week's episode, they're gonna talk about the mental health of the women. The mental health. Oh, from his
Yeah.
2005 case. All right, y'all. I'll talk to y'all later.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye bye. I had you doing research today. Shoot, I gotta do some research too. Tracy done got blocked, child.